and now it's recording audio and video from here and whatever live settings we do here.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Sounds good. For the most part, I don't think that I'm ever gonna be like, I don't know, in charge of working that, because I just more or less want to come in here and talk. That's all I'm trying to do. But yeah.
Sure.
Got it.
So-
Okay. So at least then, like, me or Nate can come in here and be the engineer.
I
Okay.
can definitely do it too.
All
Now,
right.
now, because now that we are officially going and we got our little recording and everything, we're in business, and I luckily took some notes about
Yeah.
that little thing.
Well, I'm sure in due time, if I watch it enough and then do it enough, I'll get the hang of it eventually, So, but that's kind of like my method of learning, is that I never force myself to like pick it up. I don't know. It's hard to explain for me, but I'm that kind
yeah.
of person.
Right. It's a you don't learn by like actually being like going through a tutorial and everything, or like enforcing yourself to do it at that moment.
Yeah, I think I learn best when I feel like I'm not under any kind of pressure to perform or learn. I just like, if it's something that I really want to do, then it'll come to me,
That's
with
why-
repetition.
That's why I
Repetition
love
is
this.
really what makes it easy for me.
That's why I love this whole room, because you can't really mess up anything in here. It seems like, because there's one thing, especially on the program that I record on.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the undo button.
Exactly.
And so I just do stuff, and then I never worry about anything, because I know I could randomly hit a button and the whole thing goes haywire, and I can just press that thing, and then everything
Start over again, huh?
is good again. It's like the computer version of that little eraser, that pink eraser.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, at least with that, with like any kind of like audio or kind of digital stuff, we can have that control or command Z in this case with Mac, and then be able to make those things.
So how many people do you think you are you going to have some visitors come by for some of these episodes? Or
I know Miss O'Connor, like I said, is definitely interested in being one of the speaking guests, and she'll probably be like a regular too, from what I'm foreseeing for whatever I want to do. There's other individuals from my community that are part of the recovery program out there that we run, which is the Wellbriety program, and I would like to invite them to come on in if they want, and talk about certain issues that we've come to experience, face, and what basically this is like a forum that I'm trying to use to reach out to people in the community to get the word out more, and even to a wider audience, and so
Definitely bring awareness to whatever
Yeah.
topics you're going to be bringing,
Yeah.
or whoever like is involved with that topic.
yeah, because I think that's the primary barrier that we face right now, is that there's a lot of like embarrassment, shame, fear of being like ostracized and stigmatized within our community. But as long as I get out there and put my voice out there and show them what I'm doing and what I'm about, I think that it's going to be able to get more people interested into taking that first step into trying to get out there and start that recovery process for themselves too as well.
oh, people are they're shy to start the conversation. Is it?
A lot of it is just embarrassment. No one never wants to admit that they're an alcoholic or they're addicted to drugs, or and that's that first hurdle that every individual has to overcome, is being able to not only face that fear of what others are probably going to think about you, but face that fear within yourself of admitting it to yourself, and I'm happy to say that like in 4 days, I'm going to have 3 years of sobriety from drugs and alcohol. So, that's that jump off point that I want to, start out here with, is showing others that this is how far along I've come. And this has always been a dream of mine to kind of do, but it's synchronicity at its best right now, because all these things have lined up, because prior to us having all this for ourselves,
Yeah.
I was imagining that I would just like record myself on my phone and
Right.
just upload it up to YouTube and that's it, you know. But this is like, you know, it couldn't have come at a better time.
Oh man, for the quality to make whatever it is that you wanted to speak out shine at its best.
Yeah, definitely, man. So it's gonna make me.
I think also like in a way like whatever it is that you're like talking about, it adds a more like serious tone because like on a speaker like you'll listen to it, but like with like an official like audio or visual things that like kind of sound decent, it's got that kind of like serious note to it that
Yeah.
you care about it this much.
And basically, what we do out at the community is we run 12-step programs 3 times a week. We run the Wellbriety program, which is a Native American 12-step recovery program that's based around the Narcotics Anonymous, the Alcoholics Anonymous values and the steps. But it's tailored and it's geared towards more of the Native American aspect of it, and that's intended to make it more easier for people from the Native American communities to be able to relate to it.
Get into it.
Yeah, because a big part of the recovery, and I can attest to it, is a big part of the recovery is finding your spirituality, you know.
Oh yeah.
And unfortunately, and I can speak from personal experience as well, that one of the first things that we lose when we're lost in addiction is our sense of that higher power and spirituality. And when we lose that, we lose everything else, which is like a respect for yourself and a respect for, you know, your life and everything like that. But once you get back in touch with it, it makes it easier for you to overcome these kind of ideas of feeling unworthy and feeling, you know, held back by certain things that are within you. Because if you can understand that your creator is what you understand him to be, you know, who's anyone to tell you that your creator's not going to forgive you? You know, if you believe it in your heart that your creator's going to help you to recover, he forgives you for all your mistakes. You know, that's that first step, and it makes it easier for you to start from there to get that recovery going.
You know, I wonder. So when you started that 3 years ago,
Yeah.
did it take a period of time before all that started to occur to you? Was there a period of time before you could realize that?
Watch, I'll give you my whole story. My name is James Francis, and I'm from the Pueblo of Acoma. For a long time, you know, I was never what I considered an alcoholic or a drug addict or any of these things, because no one wants to be an alcoholic. No one wants to be a drug addict. It's just something that happens without you realizing it. You know, I picked up the bottle around the age of 21, 24, and you know, before I knew it, I was struggling with that substance abuse problem.
Right.
Many times between the age of 24 and like 37, 3 years ago, 38, 37, I made all these attempts at finding sobriety, you know, and every time it was always, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one that's going to end it all. And it took time and failure after failure after failure. But the thing I can say for myself is that I never quit, you know. There were times when I gave up and I say, you know, I messed up. And I go back to drinking for like a year or two without any kind of serious thought about trying to find recovery once again. But this last time, you know, something just clicked, and it just had to happen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And all these cliches that you hear from people in recovery, that being sick and tired, they're true, man, because I can look back now and I can admit to you that every single thing that they tell you one day at a time, sick and tired, they're all true. Because I just woke up one morning and I say, you know, I can't do this anymore. I gotta stop. Mm-hmm. And that first step for me was finding that meeting out at the Pueblo of Acoma, the Wellbriety program, which one of my brothers was hosting. I had bumped into him, and I was up in treatment in Oregon, and I found a job up there when I got out of the treatment, out of the NARA program, and I was intending to stay up there. I did well in my recovery for like close to a little under a year. Mm-hmm. And then I relapsed with alcohol, and then I picked up crystal meth, and I started messing with that stuff, and you know, that was real bad, man. And But I came back down here, and that's what I said. My intention was to get to the brother because he works with the Acoma Behavioral Health Services out at Acoma, and I was gonna spin them a story about how I needed to go back into treatment, with the plan being that I was gonna go back up to Oregon, and just pick up where I left off up in Portland, because that's where I had become accustomed to living, and so the brother told me, he said, well, we can't just get you right into the treatment program. You're going to have to work with the ABHS program. We're going to try to find you a room or a bed, as they say, when they're looking for a place for you, an inpatient. And I can't guarantee you that it's going to be the same place up in Oregon at NARA. So I was like, all right. Then he's like, but in the meantime, I host these meetings. I host the Wellbrighty meetings, and I had learned about the Wellbrighty program up in Oregon because that's a big movement up there. And so I said, okay, I'll come to the meeting. And, I'll give it a shot, And I really was like maybe 50-50 committed wholeheartedly to wanting to find that sobriety. So I said, I'll do it, And one of the most amazing things that happened was that I'm from the Pueblo of Acoma. My mom is Acoma. My dad is Laguna and half Hopi. And so we start out the meetings every time with an Elders meditation. And what the Elders meditation for November 17th said was, humbleness means peace and honesty. Both mean Hopi. True, honest, perfect words is what we call Hopi words. In all languages, not just Hopi. We strive to be Hopi. We call ourselves Hopi because maybe one day one or two of us will become Hopi. Each person must look in their heart and make changes so that you may become Hopi when you reach your destination. And that's from Percy Lomakwahu. He's a Hopi elder. And it finishes up with saying, the Creator has made available to us all the laws, principles, and values which we need to know to live in harmony. The Creator also designed each human being to learn and grow by trial and error. We have the tools to help us to live the right way. We have the prayers, the visions, the nature, teachers, elders, and we have the Great Spirit to talk to and ask for help when we have problems. We also have choice. To walk the red road takes courage and a lot of prayer. And that was my first meeting. And, I took it as way beyond coincidence that it should be a Hopi elder that night that's given the Elders meditation from the book.
Yeah.
And I mean, to tell the truth, I got choked up. I'm almost getting choked up now. But I got choked up when I was reading that because it just it struck a chord. And I said, I got to make this change. And, that's where it started. And
the line in there that struck me, which it seems like such a simple line, such a line that people wouldn't even really focus on or anything, which is have a choice.
Yes.
And that line is there, and it's at the very end. And so, it's a very abstract philosophical idea.
I think
yeah.
like a lot of this, like that faith, that feeling with that connection with the Creator and all that encapsulates. It's real. That force. It's very real. That kind of. Let's see. I guess bottom line, that faith to that, like that acknowledgement that it's there.
Yeah.
That's the first thing to know, is that to acknowledge that, because that faith is there, and that's what strength derives from.
Yes.
To have you keep going with the things that are going on, not physically, but very spiritually, because like a lot of people don't take spiritual things very serious, but it's a very real thing that drives your physical being to move forward with decisions.
Yeah. And the reason why I can relate to that so true is because I've reached that age where I've come to understand that we're capable of making these choices for ourselves. We have this ability to choose what's right or choose what's wrong. And we've already reached that age where we know what's right and what's wrong, you know. And unfortunately for me, I made those choices that weren't right, you know. And
They felt right.
yeah, they were fun. It felt right at the time. But one thing that I say is that for people in recovery and for people not in recovery as well, the first thing that I try to always get out there is that, you know, I'm not knocking people that like to celebrate and they use alcohol and they have that ability to do so. There's people out there that can drink responsibly, that know what moderation is. I, for one, I never had any of those kind of switches or control mechanisms within my body. You know, there was never a turn off switch. There was never a moderation switch. There was never a responsibility.
Oh, easy, buddy.
Yeah.
No.
And it was just once I got going, it was off to the races, you know. And I lived that life for a good, I want to say close to from 24 to 37, you know, that's all it was. And you know, unfortunately, I did a lot of bad things during that time, you know. I made a lot of mistakes. I wrecked some cars. I ruined relationships. I lost jobs. It was just that cycle. And that was another thing that helped me to kind of get into, to finally ask for treatment, inpatient treatment. I mean, with the Acoma courts. Many a times I went into jail and they offered me, you know, well, we can get you into treatment if you want to go. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go to treatment. I'll just do my time and that's it. So this last time when I was last in the jail, they gave me like an arrest record of all the times I had been arrested. And they were all just for drinking, disorderly conduct, and contempt of courts. And it had like the sentences and the days that I did. And so I said, let me add all these up and see exactly how much time I've done in this jail. Just like a month here, a week here, or even like a weekend. Right. And I added it up and it was something close to like a year and a half. And I was thinking to myself, like, Jesus Christ.
I bet
that's a lot of time to be spending sitting somewhere.
It doesn't. Yeah. I mean, and then to top it off, I was sitting in the jail and I was looking at like another 4 months of sitting inside that jail before I was going to get out again. So I don't know, something, I just got like sick in my stomach and I was sitting there and like, you know, if you ever felt that like anxiety feeling where you just want to get up and go out and but you can't.
Oh man.
So finally I say, you know, I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask them to send me to treatment if they can send me to treatment. So I wrote my motion out to the judge and I said, I know that you guys have offered this to me before and I've always refused, but now I'm more than willing to give it a shot and give it a go, you know. So that's where it started.
Was that the crucial decision?
That was like the first step. And although I relapsed after I got out of treatment up there, you know, it was just things just kept like reverting me back to the starting line is how I can put it right now, you know. Yeah. And that starting line was either going to be continue drinking or try again to find your sobriety. Yeah. And you know, those last 2 shots that I had, you know, they were finally the ones that did it. But so ever since that day, I've participated 100% into the recovery program. And, you know, as time added up, me and the bro, we've put the meetings out there to the community. We were actually running Zoom meetings. And this is primarily like one of the reasons why I want to get onto the YouTube and start this podcast is having that ability to reach a wider audience and spread this word of recovery to other people as well, you know. And
this is a perfect way to do it. This is exactly why this exists, you know. And the idea that I like, you know, and you mentioned it right before we started was, you know, about like finding like wholeness. You know, and so it seems to me that that goes to the key to me for this is that if a person has like a well-rounded life and they have the things they need in order to thrive, chances are very unlikely they're going to run into this. So it seems like this happens often when people have something missing out of their life and they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's not that they can point their finger and say that's what it is most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's there, so they have to go through this self-discovery, figure out where is that empty piece in my life that never got figured out, never got taken care of, and now I have to, compensate by doing all kinds of various things in order to compensate. What does compensate mean? It means let's just feel okay for right now.
God, that compensate
Right.
for whatever's missing is definitely different for each and every single person, because like each person has their different complications of how they were growing up and everything.
Yeah. And I can relate to Nate on that point because, that's the thing that people think too when they think like recovery and AA, that it's all going to come to you at once. Like it's all going to click and everything's going to make sense. As long as I do this and do that, it's going to come to me and I'm going to figure it all out. It doesn't happen that way, It takes time, and I can attest to it. It takes time, it takes commitment. And, for me, at the time when I came back from Oregon, I was living with my sister. I moved back out here to the res. I was living with my grandma. And, I made that dedication. So even in the winter months, I will walk up to the ABHS building to make the meetings. And, just meeting by meeting and having that ability to put your feelings out there into the reality and manifest them and share them with others. You get these kind of like epiphanies some days where like whatever it is that you're trying to find an answer to just happens to come to you like that. Other days you might be struggling because like you feel obligated to talk and share, but you really don't have nothing to talk to or talk about on that. And it's those times when you're like, wow, because I can look back and some of the deepest meetings that I had. At one point, me and the bro, we were the only two people that were going to those meetings, but we would sit in there and we would conduct those meetings and they're like an hour long or even over an hour. But it's just that ability to just talk, and some days, like I said, it's amazing because some of these things that you're searching for, it comes to you when you're talking. Or if you're not and you're listening to someone else share their story as well, there's that answer that you're looking for with what they're sharing as well, and it's amazing, and that's one of the key points that I want to get out to people out there is that, don't be afraid to come to these meetings and don't look at them as a hassle or an obligation, because if you really understand what it is that you want, it's gonna come to you.
And a lot of times too, like people, they don't want to participate because they're stubborn or they're prideful and they don't want to have other people telling them what's best or what they need to do. But what they need to remember, at least from my perspective, is this is about self-discovery, and whatever it is that's missing that's making a person do that, trust me, no one else is going to be able to tell you what it is anyway, so you don't have to worry about that.
And definitely, like on that also, like I think it's like, what is it to other people what you're doing for yourself? For real though, like, what is it to you that I'm trying to fix myself or like trying to better myself in any other way where I'm not being self-destructive? And it's like, Cause like if once you actually state that to yourself out loud, like what is it to everybody else? That kind of like everything that everybody else thinks or would think, that kind of judgment that you already place on yourself by seeing everybody as a mirror reflection of whatever. It's like then you acknowledge that it's you that you're kind of holding yourself back.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't really think anyone should. If someone is going to go and bother anyone else because they're trying to improve themselves, I just don't even see that as legitimate. I mean, you're not hurting anyone. You're just trying to better your condition. You're trying to feel better. You're trying to improve your life. So really, what does anyone have to say about any of it? Like you said, that's very true.
And that goes back to one of those cliches that I was telling you about that's true, is no one can make you do it. You have to want it for yourself.
Yes.
And one of the biggest obstacle setback that we have is that a lot of people that come into those meetings are usually court obligated, you know. So they're not necessarily there because they want to be there.
No,
they're only there because they need their paper signed and they don't want to go back to jail, and they just got to get these meetings out of the way, you know. But
they have to be there.
yeah, and that's a big part of it, is that you can't allow yourself to get discouraged sometimes, because sometimes you meet these individuals and you have these high hopes for them and you see them progressing along, and then one day they just stop showing up, and you know. But
that's got to be one of the hardest parts.
Yeah,
when that happens.
Those doors are always open, but
see a fellow comrade just like fall off.
Yeah.
Dang.
So yeah, that's basically what we do now, and we're basically we've held fundraisers, we have open discussion meetings, we try to host events within our community at least once or twice a year, where it's kind of like we invite the community in to kind of hear these stories from individuals who've had some time of recovery, and share their stories with the people that want to attend, you know.
Because it's nice to share these things and like definitely know that if you're struggling with the same thing, you know you're not alone with it.
Yeah.
That camaraderie of like similar feeling really does ease off, because it's that thing, misery is better shared.
Yeah, misery loves company.
Yes. Exactly.
I've heard that plenty of times, and that's true as well. You know, that's true as well.
Yes.
But once we formed our core group, our dedicated members, as I like to say, you know, we've seen a lot of success. We don't force them to continue on, but we always know that we check up on them. Yeah. And there's individuals out there that unfortunately, you know, due to obligations like outside, like of course life, you know, you have to have your job, and you got to make that time to. So a lot of times, most individuals don't have that ability to continue on with the meetings, but we make sure that we check up on them and you know, reach out to them every now and then and say, are you doing okay? Or is everything all right? You know, or they'll drop in and like, hey, what's going on, man? You know, like no time has passed whatsoever. So
that support is definitely
a
thing.
Big time. Yep. It's networking, as they say, with like-minded individuals that want to succeed, and that plays a big part too in recovery, is coming to that understanding that you're not in it alone. And for me, the biggest thing that I realized too as well is that I can't be ashamed to ask for help, you know. And that was the thing that I look back on now, and I see it as one of those things that was always the catalyst for me relapsing, was that I was unable to reach out to others and ask them for help. But now it's no longer an issue for me, you know, and it makes me happy because, you know, like I spoke of earlier, those feelings of embarrassment and shame and fear, you know, they're no longer there. You know, I stand here as living proof of what work in a program can do for you, with an honest heart, wholeheartedly, you know, that it is possible. And there are other individuals out there willing and ready to help you along if you need that help. You know, it's not impossible. It's challenging at times, but it's not impossible.
And the thing that I, you know, personally like about what you're saying, you know, and that just makes me think of is just that, you know, well-being is just such a broad term. It means different things to everybody depending on the state of their health right now and what they have to do to have better health and better well-being. And the reason that a person wants that is always going to be different. And so it doesn't have to be a big reason. It doesn't have to be a small reason. It could be any reason that a person wants to improve their condition, you know. So it could be something like so small that we wouldn't even think that it was a big deal. Like I talked to someone a little while ago, and he had been a really lifelong drinker. And I said, what made you stop? And he said, I was so sick and tired of having too much phlegm, of all the mucus. And one day I looked up and realized alcohol is causing all the phlegm and the mucus. I had no idea. I couldn't figure out what it was. I tried everything, looked it up, realized it was alcohol causing it. I stopped, and immediately the symptoms went away, and I felt so much better. Then I just stopped. I'm like, oh, so it was mucus. That's why. He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. That's like the most smallest, ridiculous little reason that I've ever heard of someone saying that's why they gave up drinking is mucus. But you know what? It worked.
Yeah. I mean,
You don't
some of
drink
us
anymore,
we
you
think we think that I quit drinking because I was dying and all this, but if someone can quit because of phlegm, that's
phlegm
good enough.
did it.
That's all you gotta.
Way more power to them to be able to just
Yeah.
because oh man,
I didn't even know the phlegm. I didn't even know that.
yeah.
But now I do. But,
It's also like a duality thing because or kind of because alcohol can be a very much a pit of falling into it because I've seen and I've seen and witnessed and went through all of that because my dad and mom, especially my dad, were alcoholics when I was growing up, and firsthand seeing because for my dad it came a lot from kind of depression and shame from that. And I think a big thing that because he also went through AA and went through that process of going to all of those meetings because he brought me with him and I was in the back room playing with all the toys
I
and
remember
everything.
going to AA meetings too. When I was a little kid too. So
the bin full of McDonald's toys.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then it's a it's that big major part of letting yourself get help because I think it's I feel it big time too with a lot of issues that I have with that I go through that sometimes all the time it's okay to reach out to other people
definitely
for help on things, especially if it's struggling mental feeling things because especially feeling things there's no manual or anything for it to get a feeling process through. That's a thing you talk through with your fellow human.
And the programs have gone through so much evolution and change over the years. Things have been found out, and that's why we have the Teens of Alcoholics, I think it's called, and the Al-Anon program. And you would be amazed at how much just having that encouragement, not just of friends but family. If it wasn't for my family sticking by my side through my worst of times, I don't think that I would ever be here because those are, I don't know.
those moments where those peeps stick with you through the most your worst.
Yep.
You really have to appreciate that.
I'm blessed with a family that was able to stand by me at my worst, my absolute worst. And it's kind of sad because I realize that there's some individuals out there that don't have that. Sometimes their family cuts them off and they don't. That's it. But that's where that family of AA or NA or your recovery family, as we like to call it, comes into play because you got to be there to help those individuals along.
And I mean, I'm sure you remember this from back when you studied it in biology class or whatnot. But humans, we have almost no instinctual knowledge. So we're born, we are completely helpless. And so our ability to survive or even reach any kind of,
self-sustaining,
even get past childhood, even reach adulthood, we are completely dependent on the fellow members of our species. We do not have the abilities that many other animals have to take care of ourselves. Sorry. So we're just going to have to accept that and also accept, I don't know about you, but, I lost my brain instruction manual. I can't find it. So as a result, I'm going to have to get pointers because this thing is a little too complicated,
I lost the English version of mine.
I'm going to have to get, just a little few suggestions along the way, because
it really does.
Like I'm saying, we don't have any knowledge in and of ourselves.
It really does take a village.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know anything if we weren't willing or able to
Help
have
each
to
other.
listen to our fellow man, no matter how prideful we become. That,
Oh,
we're not
man.
going to have anyone help us today. We're going to do this disaster all on our own. We don't need any help, right?
Oh man, how much self-destruction has that caused?
Yep.
For real though.
Yeah, so primarily, you know, that's the only reason why that I keep myself motivated nowadays to continue to come back to school and do what I'm doing, which is pursuing that degree for counseling and community psychology, because my overall goal is to become a drug and alcohol counselor and take this knowledge that I'm learning here in school and personal from all my background, you know, and use
Yeah.
it to help others, you know. So
Yeah.
That'd be an excellent field to go into.
yeah. I know it's not going to be easy. You know, I've already experienced, you know, like I said, that feeling of frustration is the hardest thing that you have to overcome, because there's a lot of I don't know if recidivism is the right word, but relapse. There's a lot of relapse with individuals out there, but you know, it's just continuously opening those doors and providing those rooms to help people take that first step, you know, take that first step towards recovery, you know, if that's truly what they want.
Yeah, whatever's holding y'all back with whatever it is that's holding you back or telling you to like you can't, just know that at least there's an open door for opportunity to be able to find the light.
Yeah, and I would say one of my favorite phrases currently is, you know, success breeds success. So if you are able to get something done or accomplish something that's very hard for you, that might not be, it might be completely unrelated, might be a totally other little thing you're working on, but say you stuck in there, you finished it, and you were persistent and you reached your goal, that you can remember that when you're working on your other things that are very difficult, that might not be related at all, but you can remember the success you had over here, and will often
Support that.
often lead your brain into finding the success elsewhere.
Yeah, it's that
know?
positive reinforcement, you know. Yeah.
Mm.
So we can take a page from Pavlov and do that positive reinforcement and
Oh yeah,
get
gotta do
ourselves
that.
salivating at it, success, you know, if anything.
That's right. Reinforce it, and then it just becomes stronger and stronger. And so yeah, you can have guests come down and you can come down and get these things ready for you, man.
Yeah, but this was a good trial run, man. I'm glad the way it went, and you know, this is kind of like more or less like the form that I want to take, that I want to speak on, you know, is things like this, and integrate in cultural and traditional practices and beliefs, and relearning those things that give us that sense of respect for ourselves once again, so that way we can, you know, that's going to help us heal, you know, it's going to help us put down
That's
that.
right.
One of the brothers, he gave a story one day at one of the meetings, and I liked the way that he told that story. He said, one day I was a kid, you know, I grew up and I got taught all these good things by my grandparents, by my parents, about how to respect yourself, how to respect others, how to love yourself, how to love others. And these were good things that I carried with myself, and I used them every single day in my life. But the moment that I picked up that bottle and I picked up those drugs, I put all those good things down and I left them, and I went out into the world and I used those things. But, you know, it took me living and learning and coming back to understand that, you know, I don't need any of these things that I thought were fun and good and all this. And all those good things that I was taught as a boy, as a kid, they're still there, you know. It's just for me to pick them back up and relearn them once again. And that's kind of like, you know, one of the things that I like to emphasize to new individuals that come into those meetings is that, you know, it's never too late to pick up all these good things or to learn new things on what it is about, you know, respecting yourself. And most importantly, respecting yourself is how I see it, you know. So
Big time.
Rediscover.
Big
yeah,
time.
yeah,
Respecting yourself is it's not easy, especially like if like you were raised in an environment that kind of
yeah,
like I think like for a lot of people it's that mentality of like you think you're better than everybody else,
Yep.
or who are you to do this and that with that kind of like thing. So you kind of always kind of like have that kind of like limitation of how much you want for you for yourself.
yeah. And it's crazy how we have this ability to beat ourselves up, you know, and put ourselves down, you know. And it's not something that we do by natural. It's something that's been taught to us, you know.
Yeah.
If we're raised up in those environments and family, if our history is coming from like where we're just constantly being put down, you know, that's how you're going to be in your life. But
It just feels like that's how it's supposed to be.
yeah, and I know certain individuals, you know, thankfully I've never had that issue with myself, but certain individuals that I've had the chance to meet and speak with, you know, I see that in them, you know, and it takes that ability. It takes me coming out there to tell them, you know, give yourself that credit, you know, give yourself that pat on the back because you're a good individual, man. Don't hold yourself down. Don't short yourself or put yourself down, man.
For real,
Believe in yourself, man, because I believe in you. And, you know, we can do this together, and, you know, you can walk with me or go your own path, but just know that I'm here to help you along the way too, man.
It's
just know that if you're down and I happen to be by, I'm not gonna look away.
Yeah.
That's the main takeaway for like that kind of like fellow being there.
Yep.
yeah, we can usually be our own biggest critics.
Definitely.
For sure, but
Definitely.
a lot of those people, if they were critiquing another person as harsh as they were doing it on themselves, they probably tell themselves, "This is not cool.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be so hard on that person. Wow, I'm really going after him, right?"
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing every day.
Right.
And
themselves.
I don't always blame the person. I blame the society that we live in because in this day and age, what we see as happiness and success and
Yeah.
everything that's monetary and materialistic, you know. If you're not rich and if you don't have this 5-figure job and have a new car and a big giant house, then you ain't nothing. And, you know, people get this mindset. For me, my life is just being satisfied with what I have right now, you know, which is enough for me. I'm not looking to become a millionaire. I'm not looking to have a giant 20 room house or a Lamborghini sitting outside for me, you know, but what I do have, I worked for it, I got it, and, you know, that's enough for me, you know. But I'm going to continue to push myself for these goals. And if, of course, you know, we all want nice things in our life, so that's okay too. But I just know, you know, that I'm content with what I got, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that new appreciation gives you new eyes for everything.
Yeah.
Like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because like a check coming in is like that's nice, but like it doesn't beat the feeling of like accomplishing something big, like some like hard labor or some like going through or like
Even a new
talking through
insight.
or learning
know?
something. It's there's no other like feeling of that accomplishment.
Yeah.
How
You
many
know,
Achieving those
people-
goals, you know, and it doesn't even have to be freaking money, you know. It's just in the beginning for me, it was just waking up another day saying, I got through that day yesterday, let's start today and see what happens, you know, but keeping that optimistic, positive mindset, you know, going into that next day saying, I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to try, I'm going to do my best.
Especially like motivating yourself, knowing it's a chaotic thing out there that
Yeah.
anything can happen.
yeah.
You have to support yourself like that.
Because there's so many things out there that you can allow yourself to be held back by, but you know it's overcoming them that gives you that sense of accomplishment that transcends money or any other, you know, kind of.
That's what I was going to say is that we always think of there being a price tag for everything.
Yeah.
Now, right? And you're talking about these people that go to the programs, and a lot of times they have a hard time, like, getting there mentally, getting prepared to do it mentally. And that's what I was going to say is like the most valuable thing in the world for some of those people would be an insight. So like a person in that situation, they might very likely they'd give up their next paycheck for that key insight, which is valuable, has no price tag. But that insight is what can actually change their whole life, their future, and everything. So, you got a little bit of money, or you got a little bit of something over here, and it's of so little value in comparison to something that has no price tag and never will, because there never will be for that.
And that's the hardest thing to impress upon them, is patience, because like I said, people want to join the program and boom, you got a job, you're okay. It takes time, it takes time, and you just got to let it happen the way it's going to happen, but you can't really force it, because the more you force it, the harder it's going to get for you. You want to be able to establish that solid foundation for yourself, because I know that, that was one of the things that always got me too, was like, I got to get a job, I got to get back into doing something, but
I gotta go up to society's things of winning.
Yeah. And it was just like, but this last time, I just let it happen the way it was going to happen. I took my time, and things just worked out the way they had to work out. And, I'm just grateful for everything that, I have now,
Because that was your journey.
Yeah.
Because your journey is not going to be anybody else's journey who's going to go through it. It's all everybody's different thing is going to go on. It's just that everybody has their own definition of success in their own realm.
Yes. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I read something out of Carl Jung in the Red Book, and there's a quote or a passage in there where he talks about that very thing you're saying. He says, this is my journey. This is your journey. You can't follow what I'm doing exactly, because then it wouldn't be your journey. We're headed towards the same goal or the same destination. But if you were to constantly just follow and ask me, what should I do next? What should I do?
Yeah.
Then I'm living your life for you. But I can help you to get those tools necessary to navigate your own life in the way you want, but it's not for me to tell you, you got to do this and you got to do that,
It's like what you say to other people are suggestions. They're not like the final answer.
No,
because we can't have that. I can't give you the final answer, or you, Tommy. All I can do is suggest to you in my mind where I'm trying to go with my thought, and then it's up to you, depending on who you are, to follow that thought, depending on where you're going.
Yeah,
but that's it.
It's funny because like all these things that you're talking about, those are like basically the opening readings of any Alcoholics or Narcotics Anonymous, is that these are merely suggestions. The only thing we ask of you upon entering these rooms is to keep an attitude of open-mindedness, honesty, and willingness, And as long as you have those three, you're well on your way. And that's all it is, because like we said before, no one can force you to do these things, But if you're coming in here with that open-mindedness and willingness to do it, and you're honest with yourself, you're more than likely going to succeed,
Yeah, you will. And, I read something somewhere that I found surprising, but I guess it's not surprising, which is that most people, the majority of people that have a problem with alcohol, with drinking in their life, eventually recover on their own.
Yeah.
But for those people that don't recover on their own, that right there just shows you're in your own category. You're because most people just naturally naturally resolves itself. But if it doesn't, then you know that you're in the other category, and you got to take other steps.
And
That's
that's
kind of like the same way as like a kid who loves candy, but he forgot, we're not going to eat it all the time. It's not there, that's candies for tomorrow.
yeah.
But if the candy is always all for today,
And that's another thing, I can honestly tell you that that's what it says in the beginning of the opening readings, is that very few that came before us ever had this last choice. And, that's a lot of the old timers. They never had Alcoholics Anonymous. They never had Narcotics Anonymous or any of these 12-step programs. They had to do it on their own. And, they succeeded, but that's only because they had no other choice.
Oh man, huh?
Yeah, it's crazy, but as long as people can get over that kind of preconceived ideas of what they have as Alcoholics Anonymous, as a bunch of hopeless alcoholics and drug addicts, and everyone
right.
going into these rooms to go
Right.
cry and sob and never heal themselves, they're not gonna never know, But as long as they can experience a meeting for themselves and really, I don't want to say commit, but really like dedicate themselves to working that program for at least a short period of time, they'll understand what it's really all about,
and also, if we remember that this problem with this particular intoxicant called alcohol, that's been going on since like the beginning of even before modern human history. Way before that, there was this problem, as far as we have any records of civilization. This has been something that ever since alcohol was first discovered.
Yep.
By whoever that was, like,
I mean, not even alcohol, just like any kind of like
Mind-altering substance.
mind-altering substance. I mean, dolphins get high off of pufferfish.
Yeah.
And like, who knows if there's some dolphins that have actual problems with that.
And I know of some mooses up north that eat fermented apples and pears, and they're benders, and I've seen all of that. But it's crazy, But I don't know if that's just something that we're endowed with by nature to want to be like, have these like
Mess up our states of conscious and like altering our. Just I don't know, just to have a break or something.
Studies have been done on it, and they put those monkeys in there where if they keep hitting the button, they'll keep getting
the peanut
the cocaine or whatever, and,
those. Oh man, and to see what sparks in their brain.
Yeah.
And so it's like there is a difference though between something naturally being something people are curious about and being something that they're doing all day every day, and it's the only thing that they do. And I guess that's what this kind of really boils down to. I mean, we are naturally curious creatures, right?
Yeah.
But that means that we have to use caution. We have to exercise caution. Sometimes we have to think like a pharmacist.
Yep.
What does that mean? Oh, well, you don't need any more of this particular thing because your symptoms are gone and there's no reason to take it. So we're ending your prescription. You're no longer going to be using that particular thing. So learning to think like something like a pharmacist, so that we can
not die,
protect ourselves from the many dangerous things that we encounter.
Yes.
Yep.
All the time. This just being one little example, but an important example.
Yep.
I think one substance with that is like fentanyl. Because like the other day I was watching a video with a fentanyl thing, and like this guy's like, the nurse was gonna give him fentanyl, and he found out, he's like, what? He goes, what? Give me what? And like, no, it's the medical fentanyl, not the stuff like Bob is selling on the streets with impurities and everything.
And he didn't want it.
Yeah, he didn't want it because he knew like the fentanyl and all that is like bad, but it was medically for him to, because he was like coming out of surgery and of something, but like it's those substances that like that you can really go overboard.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's all
have
been
it beating.
scientifically proven that, you know, taking those chemicals releases an excess amount of dopamine and serotonin and GABA within your brain. And
Yeah.
that's what causes that psychological. But if you're taking like heroin or if you're taking fentanyl, then you also get that physical dependence. So when you cut yourself off, not only is your mind wanting more of that flooding of those hormones,
You go through withdrawals.
but you're feeling those aches. You're feeling So you know, addiction is a many faceted freaking problem, and it takes a lot to. And we still have no full understanding of why some individuals are able to use caution and say no, and others they call it addictive personality.
Right.
You know, where you want to try and see if you can skirt that line and you know.
A bit ride the white pony.
Yeah, and I'm definitely one of those individuals. You know, I try skirting that line, and every single thing that it says in that big book about like, oh, I'm only gonna drink this, and if I buy like high-end beer, then it's gonna be okay. but once I started drinking, I would go on these binges, and then by the end of the binge, when I'm counting out my coins, I'm going into the store trying to buy the cheapest booze and just get another day down. And
I got through with another one.
Yep. And then it's those hangovers now that last for days that don't make me miss it at all. You know, but yeah, so
Definitely with that. Like I heard that big time with with tobacco, cause like
oh yeah, it's a lot of substances that people.
with like that, definitely with that codependency, that kind of that need for that, and you know, if you're just with yourself and with that, that's the thing that's supporting you kind of in a way, but then going to these, it'll help you out realizing that you can help yourself and let yourself heal.
Yep.
Yes, you can. And on that note, until the next episode.
Yeah, basically this is a good one, man. If you guys don't mind, I like to upload it onto jimerz Rantz.
Yeah.
And you know, this is basically Nate Frank. He's the librarian here at NMSU. This is Tommy Skeet, and you know, he's the audio guy or the technician guy. He's in charge of all these buttons over here that I have no clue what they are. And I'm James Francis, and we're coming to you from the New Mexico State University recording room, aka the Club 505. Was it?
Studio 505.
Yeah. So, you know, and this is basically what I want to do is take that word out there and you know, spread that information, educate others, and give others that ability to have that open forum to discuss these kind of issues and topics, and you know, educate others, you know, on these kind of things. But this was a good one, you know, and I enjoy having you guys here teach me how to do this and keep this conversation going, you know. So
definitely, it all this was interesting, and like I did gain more insight on like there's more than the TV trope of Alcoholics Anonymous, of these guys in a room in a circle with these chairs crying over stuff.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It's actual like don't let that mentality stop you from going through with that. And like I see that.
Yeah. And you know, I wish that at this time I could tell individuals out there where and when our meetings are, but unfortunately they've been put kind of like on a temporary hiatus for now. But as soon as they do, you know, we'll get the word back out there. We'll put up new flyers and let everyone know, you know, when and where. And those doors are always open. But you know, as far as it goes, the Rough Cuts Wellbriety out at Acoma Pueblo, we're always there for you guys to reach out to if you guys are seeking that help, and if you don't want to go necessarily the traditional conventional method of our behavioral services or the hospitals, you know, and if you want to just get that first step going, you know, that first little leap into this arena of recovery and Wellbriety, once again, you know, we're here for you. So.
Well, excellent.
But this was definitely, even though this was just basically a test run, you know, it was amazing. You know, I'm happy that you guys were able to sit here and let me share with you guys this information that I have and you know, talk to you like this, you know, so.
Very nice. Very nice.
Great. Thanks,
So,
James.
what would you probably call this show?
I was intended to call it Jimerz Rantz.
All right, Jimerz Rantz, episode 1. Thank you, everybody.